This is a particular model that doesn't focus on what Western psychotherapy can typically be, which is looking back and looking at deficit or pathology and kind of drudging through that, as opposed to focusing on the seeds that we trust are really there and breathing into them and using the power of the imagination to in some way help the mind self-heal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how just imagining those ideal parents who were free from any worry or stress or, the things that parents, I would say, probably almost always carry in some way, that, it just felt so lovely and light and joyful and
And a big focus of it is because people will often or sometimes say afterwards, but that was just my imagination. And I guess where this starts to lead into the kind of Eastern philosophical piece is that the way attachment experiences get internalized does then create an imaginative anticipation of relationship. We're constantly anticipating how the other will respond or not. And so it's actually all imagination. And so what we're doing is using the power of the imagination to create a new, what in attachment they would say, internal working model, which is our kind of anticipated responses from caregivers. And creating a new sense of inner security and feeling sense in the body through the power of imagination. So it's more focusing on the actual feeling of that ideal scenario than the image itself.
And I noticed in coming out of it, your instruction to stay with the feeling in my body while I leave the scene and stay with the feeling in my body while the image fades. And that I'm assuming essentially that's what I retain from it, the embodied sense that I experienced.
Yeah. Carrying that, because often there can be quite a jolting or jarring out of the imagery back into the therapeutic relationship. And so paying close attention to what happens for the client when we re-engage into interpersonal relationship is really, really important. And together marking what's happening. Like, is the anxiety or preoccupation beginning as soon as we come back out into this relationship? So that's a very important kind of transition point.
I'm curious about the age range you gave between 4 and 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why it's that particular age range that this protocol uses?
I don't know exactly why, but it has something to do with memory and the ability to retrieve memory, but still being as close to the age of attachment formation as possible. Even though we're not working with memory per se, but at least we can have some kind of felt sense recollection of what it was like to be me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this something that, as a therapist, you might use again in the therapy?
Yeah.
Like it's something that you might revisit and do again?
Yeah. If it's something that with the client we've agreed upon would be really useful, if they're coming with, say, something that is showing up in relationship. Obviously, attachment is quite foundational for so many aspects of ourselves, self-esteem, interpersonal relationships, etc. It can be really useful to do this as a core part of our work together, and it takes repetition. And so often we will record that particular visualization and treat it as a meditation between sessions as well. There are pre-recorded ones online, but when we work together, obviously my questioning is in response to your responses, and so it's a lot more targeted. And I think the studies have shown that it takes about 50-minute sessions of this particular visualization work to start to move towards, say, earned security in attachment.
And I know attachment is something that we think about a lot in therapy and we work with a lot in therapy, but I also know people are reading a lot of books about attachment and trying to kind of figure out what their attachment style is. Are you saying that attachment can be healed?
Healed in the sense of we find ways to not cope, but to navigate the particular tendencies that come from our attachment pattern. But of course, attachment shows up differently in different relationships as well, depending on their particular patterns. So my view is maybe not so much about healing attachment, but really accepting and then finding ways to deal with it. And that's what they would call earned security, where it's not necessarily that you're secure in your attachment pattern, but you've found a way to work with your mind as it is in a way that helps you have secure functioning relationships, where it's collaborative, it's just, there's co-regulation happening between you, you feel safe. That would be a secure functioning relationship. And to people with insecure attachment types, so to speak, can have a secure functioning relationship if we find a way to manage the insecurity personally and together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It strikes me that that experience that I just had in that protocol, which was actually different to anything I've experienced before in therapy in terms of where I was receiving the support from, it was really different and lovely. But it strikes me that me having that experience in that exercise just kind of broadens what my mind and body can be aware of, or what I might have capacity to connect with in my life. That I have particular beliefs about relationships and people, and I have my ways of relating and things that happen, and that experience was really different and beautiful. Yeah, I find myself, kind of going, that feeling is possible. That's a feeling I haven't, that actually feels really sad to say that, but that's a feeling I haven't had before in terms of just the ease of that relationship in that exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it will often also spur on grief about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel sad.
Yeah.
But also very beautiful. And yeah, I'm really keen to kind of practice that experience and get that really familiar in my body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they become really great resources, these ideal parent figures, because you can also do scene-specific visualization. So if someone's coming with a particular challenging feeling in relation to a particular event just in the last week, then we really see how these ideal figures will meet them in that very moment, and they become a real resource to call upon that we can deepen together, but then you can call upon them whenever you feel. Yeah.
And that's something that's such a gift of therapy, that we can learn these things that we can turn to outside of therapy and forever, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is a particular approach that has really changed also practicing as a psychotherapist for me, when it can often, as I was saying before, perpetuate the kind of Western psychological problematization of people's life and minds, and actually deepen that. People come on their way to therapy thinking about what they're going to focus on today and kind of trying to drudge up something that's a problem for me to bring. And actually this takes a more like possibility and potential approach to psychotherapy, less about problem and pathology, more about possibility, and drawing on, the imaginative faculties of the human mind. And I mean, Jung would call it the transcendental function of the mind, the fact that the mind naturally wants to grow and develop. That's just, it's an expression of life. And so maybe some of these common approaches to psychotherapy and constantly looking for something to fix kind of completely numbs. It's like a wet blanket, a warm wet blanket over that natural faculty again and again. Whereas this just says, no, there's something in you that knows. Let's see how it emerges and really anchor it and feel it.
Yeah. I mean, you really created the conditions, and with some instruction created that space and possibility for my mind to just come up with exactly what I needed. Yeah. It's really lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you to, I mean, it's Dan Brown, his work, just to make sure it goes to,
Yeah.
to him, Daniel P.